The war room lights are burning late in Detroit. Something's brewing. Something that could fundamentally alter the trajectory of this franchise's championship aspirations. And while everyone's been focused on what's happening right now on this season's playoff push, there's a seismic shift being mapped out behind closed doors that nobody's talking about yet. But I'm about to change that. Welcome to Lions News Fan Report, your direct source for the latest breaking news, insider analysis, and all the developments surrounding our beloved Detroit Lions. I'm here to give you the unfiltered truth about where this team is heading. And trust me when I say what I'm about to reveal is going to completely reshape how you think about our future. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications because you don't want to miss a single update. Now, let's dive into something that's been keeping me up at night. There are moments in franchise history where you can see the inflection point coming, where you can feel the organization positioning itself for something bigger than just the current season. And right now, as we're watching this team compete at the highest level, there's a parallel conversation happening that's going to define the next era of Lions football. It's about recognizing what we have, understanding what we're missing, and having the courage to go get it when the opportunity presents itself. And that opportunity might be closer than anyone realizes. Let me take you back to September, the season opener. The energy was electric, Ford Field was rocking, and then, in one devastating moment, everything changed. Aiden Hutchinson went down. Our defensive cornerstone, our pass rush engine, the player we built an entire defensive identity around, gone for the season. And in that instant, we all knew this team would face its greatest test, not just winning games without him, but proving we had the depth and resilience to maintain our elite defensive standards when our best player wasn't on the field. Here's the uncomfortable truth that nobody wants to say out loud. We didn't adequately address the pass rush situation, not at the trade deadline, not with external additions. We went into this season believing Al-Quadin Muhammad could be the complementary piece next to Hutchinson, and to his credit, Muhammad started hot. Those first few weeks, he looked like a legitimate starter. But as the season has progressed, as opposing offensive coordinators have had time to study his tendencies and game plan specifically for him, we've seen him revert back to what he's always been throughout his career. A solid backup, a rotational piece, not the guy you build your pass rush around, not the guy who strikes fear into elite left tackles. The numbers don't lie. Our pressure rate has dropped significantly since Hutchinson's injury. Quarterbacks are getting comfortable in the pocket against us. Teams are executing their passing game with a level of confidence they didn't have earlier in the season. And while our defense has still been good enough to win games, we all know that in January, when we're facing the elite offenses of the NFC, we need more than just good enough. We need dominant. We need game-wrecking. We need someone who can single-handedly disrupt an offense's rhythm. Now, the organization made a calculated decision at the trade deadline. They chose not to mortgage future assets for a rental player who might help this season, but wouldn't be part of the long-term solution. I respect that decision. It shows discipline. It shows they're thinking beyond just this year. But it also tells me something else. It tells me they're already planning for next year. They're already identifying targets. They're already positioning themselves to make a massive move when the timing is right and the right player becomes available. This brings me to the conversation that's starting to percolate around the league. There are 3 teams that insiders believe will be aggressively pursuing elite pass rushers in the upcoming offseason. 3 franchises that have identified this as their primary need. 3 organizations with the resources and motivation to make a blockbuster move. Detroit Lions, Philadelphia Eagles, Dallas Cowboys. All 3 have glaring needs at edge rusher. All 3 have championship aspirations. All 3 have general managers who aren't afraid to be aggressive when the stakes are high. Let's talk about each team's situation. Philadelphia added Jalen Phillips at the deadline in a trade with Miami. Solid player, good addition. But Phillips is going to be a free agent, and even if they re-sign him, the Eagles know they need more firepower on the edge. Howie Roseman is one of the most aggressive general managers in football. He's not satisfied with good. He wants elite. And we've already seen reports that he was willing to give up a massive package to Cleveland for Myles Garrett. That tells you everything you need to know about his mindset. Dallas is in an even more desperate situation. They traded Micah Parsons to Green Bay and haven't come close to replacing that production. Their pass rush has been anemic. Jerry Jones knows his window is closing with this roster, and he's going to be motivated to make a splash move. The Cowboys reportedly tried to add an edge rusher at the deadline, but couldn't get anything done. That doesn't mean they're going to stop trying. It means they're going to come back even more aggressive in the offseason. And then there's us, the Detroit Lions. We have the most complete roster of these three teams. We have an elite offense. We have playmakers on defense. We have a coaching staff that players want to play for. We have a culture that's been built on toughness and accountability. The only thing we're missing is that elite edge rusher who can take over games. And if this season ends without a Super Bowl appearance, you better believe Brad Holmes is going to be motivated to find that missing piece. So here's where this gets really interesting. There's a name that keeps coming up in conversations around the league. A player who has been the subject of trade interest for 2 consecutive years. A dominant edge rusher who plays for a franchise that's going absolutely nowhere. A veteran who has suffered through losing season after losing season while putting up all-pro level production. Maxx Crosby, Las Vegas Raiders, and the possibility that he could finally be available in the offseason is starting to feel more realistic than ever before. Crosby is one of the best edge rushers in football, period. He's not just good, he's elite. He's a game wrecker. He's the type of player who can single-handedly change the complexion of a defense. Since entering the league, he's been consistently productive despite playing for terrible teams with zero supporting cast around him. He's durable. He's relentless. He's exactly the type of player championship teams are built around. And for the past 2 years, the Raiders have turned down every single trade inquiry. They've made it clear he's not available. They've insisted he's part of their long-term plans. But here's the thing about situations like this. Eventually, reality sets in. Eventually, the player gets tired of losing. Eventually, the franchise realizes that holding on to a great player on a bad team doesn't make sense when you could get massive draft capital to accelerate your rebuild. And we're reaching that inflection point with Crosby and the Raiders. This is his 8th season in Las Vegas. He's seen 1 winning season in 7 years. He's about to play for his 4th different head coach in 4 years. Pete Carroll's first season has been an absolute disaster. The team has shown 0 progress, 0 development, 0 reason for optimism. At some point, Crosby is going to look around and realize he's wasted the prime years of his career on a franchise that can't get out of its own way. At some point, he's going to want to compete for championships. At some point, he's going to request a trade to a contending team. And when that happens, the Raiders will have a decision to make. Do they continue to hold on to him out of pride, or do they respect his service to the organization and grant his request while collecting the massive haul of draft picks that would come with trading an elite edge rusher? Now, let's talk about the competition for his services if he does become available. The Cowboys have 2 first-round picks in the upcoming draft, which gives them significant ammunition. Their own pick is projected to be higher than what Detroit or Philadelphia would be offering, which makes them an attractive trade partner for a rebuilding team like Las Vegas. Jerry Jones has never been shy about making big moves, and this would be exactly the type of splash he loves. Philadelphia has Howie Roseman, who we know is willing to be aggressive. He's proven time and time again that he'll pay whatever price is necessary to get his guy. The Eagles have championship aspirations, and adding Crosby would instantly make them the favorites in the NFC. Don't sleep on Philly's ability to put together a competitive package. But here's why I think Detroit has a real shot at this. Our cap situation for next year isn't great, but where there's a will, there's a way. Brad Holmes has shown he can be creative with contracts. He can restructure deals. He can create space when necessary. And if this season ends in disappointment, if we come up short of our Super Bowl goals, the motivation to go all in next year will be overwhelming. This organization knows the window's open right now. Jared Goff is playing at an MVP level. Our offensive weapons are in their prime. Our defense has elite talent everywhere except edge rusher, one move, one elite pass rusher. That's all we're missing. Think about what Crosby would mean for this defense. Pair him with a healthy Aiden Hutchinson next season, and you're talking about one of the most dominant edge rush duos in the entire NFL. You're talking about a defense that can get pressure with 4 rushers, allowing you to drop 7 into coverage. You're talking about a unit that can take over playoff games. You're talking about the missing piece that turns a good defense into an elite defense. That's worth whatever draft capital it takes. That's worth the financial gymnastics necessary to make it work under the cap. The reality is that all 3 of these teams are going to be in the mix. It's going to come down to what Crosby wants, what the Raiders value most, and which team is willing to pay the highest price. A trade package would likely start with a first-round pick and include additional assets from there. It's not going to be cheap. But championship-caliber edge rushers never are. And when you're as close as Detroit is right now, you can't let cost be the determining factor. You have to be willing to pay the price to get over the hump. I want to hear from you. Do you think the Lions should go all in for Maxx Crosby if he becomes available? Are you willing to part with a first-round pick and more to land an elite edge rusher? How important is solving the pass rush issue compared to other needs on this roster? Drop your thoughts in the comments below because this is the type of conversation that defines franchises. This is the type of decision that determines whether you win championships or fall short. If you enjoyed this breakdown and want to stay ahead of every major development with the Detroit Lions, subscribe to Lions News Fan Report right now. Hit that like button, smash the notification bell, and join a community of passionate fans who demand serious analysis and insider information. We're here every single day bringing you the content you need to stay informed. Don't miss out. I'll see you in the next one. One Pride.